All right. 3, 2, 1, mark. I was going to do one of these videos on Piers Morgan. I believe that's where this whole notion had kind of originated a little bit. I was watching, I don't know if there ended up being enough content on him himself or any sort of real deep dive on the man, but I'd watched a Lotus Eaters video of Piers Morgan talking about Meghan Markle, and it occurred to me maybe I should do one on Meghan Markle. For those of you who have been living under a rock and not the moon, I stole that from Ryan George, I believe. But for those of you who don't know, Meghan Markle is, I think the term would be B or C list actor. I think she played in Suits, which has been, like, it kind of got popular recently after maybe not being super popular to start with. I'm not for sure, though. And then she started hobnobbing with the wealthy and yuppies of the world. It kind of brings to mind the notion that, at least what I would have been taught about, like, early American history. You know how the original settlers, that is, the Indians, got taken over by the white people? One of the reasons I would have been taught had to do with the notion that Indians weren't used to fighting long-term campaigns. They would get a war party together, they would go out and fight, and then they would go back to their village. That's how they fought wars. It was more of a raiding, tit-for-tat, sporadic type of thing. But the fact that they weren't capable of fighting long-term campaigns was part of the reason why they lost. It just occurs to me there might be a parallel there with the way women are able to, although weaker than men, sometimes get their way. So, beware, young men. Anyways, let's get into this. Alrighty. This is a video by Scandalous Media, The Psychology of Meghan Markle, a deep dive. So let's hope it lives up to the name. Let's go. It's early morning. You can't expect some sort of zeal from me. Did you actually know that if you get up and go on a walk in the early morning, technically insects do sleep? So if you're worried about mosquitoes or flies or anything like that, it pays to get up early, actually. For whatever reason, I'd never thought about insects sleeping, but they do actually enter like a state of torpor or something like that. Pretty cool. Always learning something new, I guess. Hopefully this is just some sort of catty girl drama, just saying. I know sometimes women can get into stuff that perhaps is best known to them, and not something that might be fully understandable by a man. Wait a second, had I done one? I remember doing one where I found out that Harry had dressed up like a Nazi at some point. I'm assuming it was a joke or some sort of edgy teen thing. I don't think he's actually a Nazi, but he had mentioned maybe there was just some sort of long con where he married Meghan Markle in order to, assuage fears of that sort. Just to be clear, I have no problem believing that someone would want to marry Meghan Markle. She's quite pretty, and for most guys, being sensible and in love is kind of an oxymoron. So I think for a lot of guys, if a woman looks good, it's good enough to blind them to their other issues. Being exposed. That twisted witch.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Psychology of Meghan Markle. As you all know, my name is Alana, and I will be taking you through a very thorough explanation of how Meghan Markle changed her life from D-list actress to a household.
She looks kind of like almost drug addict-y here. Now I'm getting catty. Maybe she's supposed to look like that for the thingy.
Name we now hear.
Okay, here's a question. I've never actually watched The Boys in full, but I've seen enough of it to see Butcher's wife. Does she kind of remind you of Butcher's wife? Like, just
Meghan Markle changed her life from D-list
like right there, like eye-wise.
actress to a household name we now hear too much of, all because she scammed.
Yeah. Well, I guess I haven't been hearing so much about them lately, but I don't know if I would really be into the whole royal, I guess, post-royal news. I don't know.
Her way into Prince Harry's life. This video will answer
And, he did start losing his hair. I don't know if he started losing his hair before he met her, but couldn't have helped, probably.
many questions we have, as I have been thinking about this topic for the past 2 years now. Questions like, how did this happen? Why is Harry destroying his family for a girl? And how does Meghan Markle operate behind
Many such cases. So I feel like before he met her, he was, relatively chill. Like, you wouldn't have heard much, like, scandalous about him, but ever since, like, meeting her, there's been kind of non-stop drama. I don't know. Maybe maybe there are people that would know more about that. Maybe he was always this way, and it like didn't meaningfully affect his moral fiber or willingness to throw his family under the bus. But man,
the scenes? These will all be answered alongside other questions we all have.
so wasn't Harry in the Air Force at one point? I thought he was. He was in like the Royal Air Force or whatever. I imagine they wouldn't allow someone like a royal to be in really meaningful combat scenarios, but fact remains, I think it's kind of cool that they would go serve their country in that way. Whatever you feel about wars.
Sit back and relax, because the way Meghan Markle captivated Prince Harry is something that has been studied by many psychologists. Let's discuss some of the.
Well, I guess I don't know. Probably. It's one of those things that it makes for popular YouTube videos, I imagine. Given how like crazy popular they were, it does feel like it would be a thing where, but like I just like for whatever reason I feel like some psychologists would feel like it's beneath them to study the psychological the psychological meanderings of someone like Meghan Markle. It'd be like studying the psychology of the Kardashians or something like that.
The aspects of Prince Harry's life that Meghan Markle used to trick him into thinking she was his dream girl, sent to him by fate.
Boo!
One of the biggest rules in social psychology when you're trying to impress someone is to appear to match their energy and give them what they don't have. Then at random moments, use fear to take.
I like Mentalist, but I don't know. I feel like technically I think he can maneuver people, but I feel like he wouldn't be some sort of malevolent example of this. He's generally pretty decent about the way he deals with people-ish.
Back what you just gave them. Meghan met Harry as this super successful, independent, humble working girl, and that's how Harry still sees.
Like super successful might be an overestimation. Again, I think she might have been like a kind of in the category of a C-list actress. I think she was a background character on Suits, but she never really made it super big in Hollywood, if I remember correctly. Although they did end up having later on, for completely different reasons, they had their own. I don't think it had to do with her acting skill per se, but she had her own Netflix series that I don't know how long that went on. I'm thinking it was just one season, and now she has a podcast, or had a podcast. I'm not sure in what tense to speak of that. Archetypes, I think that one's over at least. There might be I feel like she's too. I feel like she doesn't know enough to shut up, so she probably still has something going on YouTube. So
her today, which is important for later. How you first appear and what you do has a very long-lasting impact on the people you meet. You can
Yeah, it's true. Actually, like that initial, it's the phrase, you never get a second chance at a first impression. So it's one of those things where the initial effect of the impression, that initial impression that you make is probably the one that's going to stick the hardest. The connection that's going to last the longest, or might never really go away, or something like that. I don't think it's everything. Like, I hate the notion that you can't go back and fix whatever relationship it was or whatever you messed up, but it is not unimportant in the least.
trick almost anyone into thinking you're someone you're not just based on how you act. Meghan was clawing and fiending to find an A-list boyfriend. All of her
She does seem like a clout scalper. Sorry, I was making a reference to something. Probably, I'm going to guess most of you don't understand that. You don't need to. Just a clout goblin or social climber.
ex-friends exposed
in a Jezebelian sense, or more Lady Macbeth sense.
her for using people and then dropping them when it no longer benefited her.
She does kind of almost match the Lady Macbeth archetype, though obviously Harry hasn't killed anyone, but, you know, frankly, I was going to say I wouldn't put it past her, but, you know, might be a little bit extreme.
She was going around asking friends while staying in London if any of them knew princes or single English men.
Former friends, she wanted to be set up with a famous British guy. What the Harry is his name? Sundi? We'll just say Cindy. Remembered when Meghan talked about her love of English men. We're having a girly chat, and she said, "Do you know any famous guys? I'm single, and I really love English men." So I said, well, I'll go out and find you someone. Okay.
When a mutual did know Prince Harry and set them up on a date, she did not come to play.
And she loved London, loved the whole showbiz scene, wanted to get on, wanted to meet journalists, wanted to meet a, English chap to go out with. And look.
Well, to be fair, I don't know if I can judge someone for wanting to be famous. I think it's pretty natural to want to make your impression. A lot of people express that in terms of, like, having kids or something like that. I guess she found a different manner in which to do it. Although, do they have a kid now? Not for sure. I'm sure if they had kids yet.
She won the lottery, and she wanted to be interviewed, and I was presenting for OKTV then. So I said to my producer, "Can we do a little interview with her?" And he was like, "No way, we've got Victoria Beckham here. We've got all these names, Eva Longoria."
I think Victoria Beckham is like, the Beckham family at least is really famous. I've gotten the idea they're kind of old money, perhaps. I was gonna say they're like the Kim Card or like the Kardashians, but I don't know if they might be into drama sometimes, but I feel like they actually might be like from old money, like they've had an old family business that all the kids kind of help with, and they're really, really wealthy.
I don't know this woman, no.
When she first met Harry, she wore his mother's favorite perfume.
Crafty she-devil.
Scents and smells in general can be powerful memory triggers. If Harry's mom wore a certain perfume around him...
Oh, and he lost his mother. Again, you crazy she-devil. Hellion. Overzealous harpy.
As a kid, and then what he appears to think is his soulmate is also wearing the same thing, he's going to subconsciously group them. A very common theme we see with Meghan and
that is kind of an interesting thing to note. I try not to think too much about, like, women I'm attracted to. It just kind of gets into your head. But you wonder how much, like, familiarity with just facial features or idiosyncrasies, like the combination of something that's both familiar and novel at the same time, like how that plays into what you're attracted to, or yeah, I don't know. Don't know.
Harry is Princess Diana. Let the record state that Meghan's power solely comes from a broken man. So it's not that she instilled issues into him, it's that she knew how to work his issues in order to favor her
Like she didn't make it happen. She just took advantage of it being the case.
dreams and goals. Meghan secretly did things to appear as if she's the second coming of Princess Diana, and Harry sits here 24/7 saying, she's just like my mom.
So much.
What the? Why? I know royals are into inbreeding, but for the love, man. I don't think you would ever want to actually say that about someone you were involved with. Like, there are people who make those assertions. But, never mind.
Much of what Meghan is and how she is.
Evan saying, she's just like my mom.
So much of what Meghan is and how she is so similar to my mum.
Again, why? Like, why would you, even if it's true, like, man, dude.
Obviously, Meghan knew who Prince Harry was, and
There's a Studio C episode sketch or whatever where they were kind of, I don't know, it's too hard to explain, but the one time that now there's a guy who's trying to coach a guy into getting with a girl, and there's a guy who's takes over the phone call to try to get him to break up with the girl or something like that, and he's just saying, say she looks like your mom, like, you look like or you remind me of my mom, now nod knowingly. It's like, yeah, it just comes off as creepy. Again, even if it's true, like, I'm not, like, above the notion that, like, again, that notion of, like, familiarity and yet novelty can, I think, play a part in it. But please, don't ever tell a woman that. I feel like that would not be something that any sane woman would be into.
it's been exposed that she did in fact have an obsession with the royal family, Catherine Middleton, and most especially Princess Diana.
Yeah, like, I've heard, like, she's very nice or whatever, very poised. Is that the right word? Has a great deal of poise. Well, okay, so in America, maybe the women would probably know this better than the men, but I think Jackie Kennedy was considered kind of the soul of femininity, I guess. Like a regal femininity, more along the lines of less like Marilyn Monroe, more like a royal or a princess or something like that. That would have been what I would have heard about her.
Your Royal Highness, take one. Go to the grocery shop. I didn't have time to do it.
Their first date was anywhere between 1 to 3 hours. They change up the story of how long the date lasted every time. So it could either be 1 hour or 3 hours.
Oh, like probably some combination. Like, I don't know exactly why you would lie about that sort of thing, but it could be one of those things where, depending on your definition, it might be both, or, I don't know.
Meghan made a point to end that date early because she was busy the next day. 2 things.
You crafty she-devil. Again. Crafty she-devil. Do all women do this? Is this just, like, I feel like this is something a woman would maybe... I feel like they think more about dating maybe than guys do. I'm not saying guys never, like, play these types of games, but...
Notice how the date is not longer than 3 hours, and she ended it early. And notice how vague she is about why she needs to leave. Meghan didn't give the date enough time to get stale. The 2nd to 3rd hour in most hangouts is where the most fun is, and not letting the date run too long ensured Meghan that Harry would want to see her again. If there was one thing Meghan Markle wasn't, it would be busy. Meghan used the fact that she was on a TV show to make Harry think she was established in Hollywood and had all these projects lined up. It's not like Harry was going to snoop around and find out that Suits was on its last legs by season 4. Realistically.
Yeah, again, I think Suits became really popular later on, but it wasn't. They even made some sort of spin-off these or more recently, I think, with Stephen Amell, which didn't really go anywhere, unfortunately. I like Stephen Amell. I think he was on American Ninja Warrior at one point. See, he played the Arrow, which I liked the first seasons of, but it just gets, like, the whole universe just gets weird later on. But, yeah, he was on American Ninja Warrior, I don't know, celebrity version, I assume, or unless he was just on there with some other group. But, yeah, seems like a cool guy. A stand-up guy, which is few and far between in Hollywood. How did we get here? Yeah, Suits. All right.
Speaking, he probably didn't know how Hollywood functions as a society until he moved to LA. So
She emotionally raped him.
Meghan used his ignorance.
I feel like she very easily could have, in the manner of a Dwemer crafty woman, taken advantage of his ignorance of Hollywood or something like that.
To fluff up her career, which in return made him think, oh my god, this beautiful Hollywood actress is making time for me in her crazy schedule. One of the first things Meghan says in her documentary with Harry was, right before we met, we got in another season of the show Suits. I was single for a couple of months, I was like, this is it, we're gonna travel. Notice how she needs to remind the viewer and Harry that before she met him, her super successful show was getting renewed for another season. Even though by this time Suits had naturally lost many of its viewers, Meghan still used the show to prove she was someone before Harry. As in why would I...
It does feel like if you were, just logically speaking, from the psychology of a sociopath or something like that, you would want to appear successful. Because, like, I feel like as a royal, you very deliberately would probably not want to get involved with poor people, and not because you hate poor people, but because on that level, the people who like you might like you for reasons you don't want them to. Right? They might like you because you're famous. They might like you because they can get something. So to some extent, you do want to date or choose a spouse from your own social class. People who would like you because of your personality, meaning they have an array of options from people who are famous, from people who are successful, and they choose you out of that because there's something special about you, independent of your status and or wealth. That would maybe be the case, anyways.
I need to use him. I was on a show. I was traveling. I was
Floozy.
living the life. I didn't need him. In the statement I mentioned above, she had
Trollop.
no reason to bring up Suits because she just goes on to talk about how she was single and wanted to travel, but she made sure to include her one main thing before getting ready to talk about their relationship. By appearing busy and successful, Meghan tricked Harry into thinking she had no reason to use him. Why would she?
Just want to point out, actress. I don't know if she was a good actress, but, you know. I feel like everyone who gets into everyone who's just like really passionate about acting, I don't know what the psychological profile is there, but I'm reluctant to trust a lot of stuff I hear coming out of Hollywood. You have people with full-on histrionic personality disorder or something like that are like, it feels like they would be the ones that would be really great at acting. Because there's nothing that they've been doing it their whole life or something like that. It's a job and a hobby for them. I don't know. Again, I feel like just generally as a sect of society, they wouldn't be amongst the most trustworthy of people.
She's on a successful show. Why would she need to use him? She's a famous actress. Is marrying Prince Harry her dream? Oh, of course not. She's just a brainy American who...
It's a cool cathedral.
Is marrying Prince Harry her dream? Oh, of course not.
It's one thing that you don't have a lot of in America, like really old cathedrals. I imagine even in South America you would have more of that sort of thing. but since it was kind of founded by the Protestants or a lot of stuff like that, and I don't know when the Catholics started. There probably would have been some, but I'm thinking maybe the Irish, or with the advent of, the Italians or something like that coming around, there would have been more Catholics coming in. But until then, I think it was like mostly people who had broken away from the church, religious freedom and all that type of stuff.
She's just a brainy American who knows nothing.
Actually, I think there was a stereotype about the Italians at one point that they didn't like having them come in because they thought they were working for what's the place? The Vatican. They thought they were spies for the Vatican or whatever the crap.
Nothing about the royal family. In fact, she's never heard of Queen Elizabeth before in her entire
What?
life.
Now I'm starting to realize this is a big deal.
Wow. Press X to doubt. No, I feel like just the fact that she's a woman, it's like, okay, really? You didn't know who the queen was? You didn't know that this was a big deal? Boo! You suck.
I mean, Americans will understand this. We have medieval times, dinner and tournament. It was like that. Like, I curtsied as though I was like I was a hugger. I've always been a hugger. I didn't realize that is really jarring for a lot of Brits.
I have to teach you how to wave.
That's not a thing. You just sort of watch it and go, okay, I guess that's what you did. I mean, I guess you don't want to wave like an American. Like, ah!
He believed Meghan was her own established person who didn't care.
I don't trust her. And it's not because she's black. It's because she's weird. And she seems like a serial manipulator. I don't know. Maybe I'm judging too much. But man, oh man. Just the framing of how and where and everything she's saying about rubs me the wrong way.
Care/know anything about the royal family.
I feel like she's leading me up the garden path. Put it that way. Meghan Markle, that is.
He says it in the beginning of their soap opera, his famous one-liner. Again, it just shows how little you knew.
He's in love. Forgive him. He knows not what he does.
He couldn't think for 1 second of the
Yeah. For what it's worth, I hope they're in love and they settle into some sort of
possibility of her using,
reliable, happy relationship. But it just seems like they kind of have been raising Cain everywhere they go.
him because she made herself seem fully established, honest, and vulnerable. Whenever they spoke about the royal family, she would laugh in amusement as if she was hearing this for the first time. You could see this when Harry says, "How do you tell someone that you bow down to your grandmother?" And then right away we see Meghan making a joke of it to show Harry that she's in it for him and not his strange lifestyle.
I met her, and apparently I did a very deep curtsy, and I don't remember it. And then we just sat there and we chatted, and
Let's call it backbend. Sorry, I was just looking at the picture. I don't know if that isn't a thing that people do, right?
and it was lovely.
She's lived.
Women don't really curtsy anymore. For that matter, men don't really bow that much anymore. Oh, Canadian. I thought Canadians were supposed to be nice and honest.
Lived in Canada for 7 years for work, and the Queen is on the currency of Canada. So for her to pretend to know nothing about the royal family, and she didn't know who was walking with the Queen.
She looks sinister there. If she hadn't been Queen, by all accounts, the Queen was a really nice person, I think. I think she's pretty ubiquitously loved, but I'm just saying. Moriarty, Queen Moriarty. Bring back the absolute monarchy. She could have done it. I'm telling you. It's got an evil eye.
When she met the family is just nonsense because she's all over the currency for Canada.
And I think, thank God I hadn't known a lot about the family. Thank God I hadn't researched.
Again, BS. You twisted.
I would have been so in my head about all of it.
She does feel like, again, maybe it's just because, like, hindsight, like, knowing, like, what all happened, she feels like she's very performative in all of this stuff. Very performative.
It's just so weird for her, she can't help but make a joke, acting as if this isn't her dream come true. By making jokes about royal tradition, Meghan made Harry feel like she's willing to outlook the difference and foreignness of his traditions, all because she loves him.
Just want to point out, these kind of look like, mid-century German goggles. Maybe he saved them over from his earlier costume. I just remember, like, these are like motorcycle goggles or something like that, right? Maybe it's supposed to be like an apocalypse type of cosplay or something.
Harry and I are in the car, and he says, okay, well, my grandmother's there, so you're going to meet her. Oh, great. I loved my grandmother. I used to take care of my grandmother. This is great. He goes, right, do you know how to curtsy? What?
Again. There's no way she did not know what the heck was going on and what it was. The fact that she's denying it is highly suspect in my mind. The fact that she's making a pretense to ignorance, like, nope.
So do you know how to curtsy?
I feel like especially like when Kate Middleton came into it, like every woman I knew was all over that.
I didn't think that's what happens inside. And I said, but it's your grandmother. He goes, it's the queen.
It's so weird and fascinating. It can't possibly be her dream come true.
To show respect. And I learned it very quickly. Right in front of the house. We just practiced and then walked in. And
you and Harry practiced?
Yeah, and Fergie ran out and she said, are you ready? Do you know how to curtsy? I said, oh my goodness, you guys.
Because a girl who's chasing attention from the royal family would die at any opportunity to partake in their traditions, feel like she's one of them. But Meghan is so different and loves Harry for himself and not his family's fame or $28 billion.
Even when Will and Kate came over and I had met her for the first time they came over for dinner, I remember I was in...
Let's see if there's anything we want to jump to here. Chasing money and fame... Fundamental lies and tricks, sharing their differences, weaponizing the loss of something. All right, let's go to where it all goes goofy, I think. Markle. All right, let's go into here, maybe. Well, I'm going to watch more of the video. All right. Let's go here.
This video from getting longer than it already is. Let's cut the details. Harry always felt out of place. We see that now. He wasn't going to be king. He didn't have what William had. He lost his...
It's strange, like, there are whole kind of ideas about the psychology of, like, in what order kids come. Statistically, I think the notion is that if you're not the first child, if you're not born the first child in your family, you have no chance at becoming an astronaut. I don't know exactly why that is, but just like, maybe that's an old wives' tale or something like that. But I think that's supposed to be the case. I know, it's weird how that works.
Childhood at a young age. He was a ginger. He was simply lost. So
yes, a ginger. Without a soul. What a shame to be born without a soul.
Then comes Meghan with her fake self-image issues as well. I was too white for the black kids and too black for the...
That's, again, I would say she would kind of be in the territory of technically black. Like, if you saw her walking down the street, you would not think black. You would think maybe Italian or Sicilian or possibly Spanish, Portuguese. Like Southern European, you would not think black. At least, yeah.
White kids. Who even knows how true...
Rashida Jones is maybe a little bit, like, from Parks and Rec. I forgot her actual name in the show, but like Rashida Jones, I think is maybe a little bit in that category. Although she has like a wider mouth, so maybe I could see it more in her that people would be like, yeah, you kind of look blackish.
That statement is.
Most people didn't treat me like a black woman. So that talk didn't have to happen for me.
Because according to Meghan and her mom,
That talk.
Meghan didn't know America had a racist past and didn't know what the N-word meant because her mom didn't teach it to her.
I don't think anyone really knows what the N-word. I don't know. It feels like it's one of those words that's just kind of people know it's offensive, but they don't really know why. I do think there's a whole swath of just slurs that are used as a meaning, like they basically mean subhuman, right? Or different category of human that is, no, that's the idea. They're meant to denote like a subhuman class of humanity, a barbarian or people in that, an uncivilized, unwashed sort of people.
She was white passing, and for the majority of her life, race didn't matter. She never experienced how much race mattered until she was in the UK.
Obviously now people are very aware of my race because they made it such an issue when I went to the UK, but...
Again, I feel like she's not the most reliable, so press X to doubt.
Before that, most people didn't treat me like a black woman.
But when she met Harry, she also needed to relate to his struggles with self-identity. That's when she gave him the "What Am I" show, probably in the fall of 2016. And Harry seems to have taken a hit to his ego by constantly hearing that he's a ginger and looks different from the rest of the family.
Which? I think they used to... Someone fetched the ducking stool.
When talking about Meghan meeting his family, he says some of them were so pleased by her,
Sure, Jan.
they didn't know what to do with themselves, because how could a ginger get such a beautiful girl? You know, they say to get...
I don't know exactly what would go on all in the royal family, but I don't know. It does feel like him and Meghan Markle, like the fact that they feel offended wouldn't necessarily mean that there's something to be offended at. If that makes sense.
someone to open up to you and trust you, you need to be vulnerable and open up with them first.
What? What's the writing? Cap, because they're lying. I don't know if that's how cap is spelled, but that's the slang that all the kids are using. Low key. She a hoe.
So while Harry berated Meghan with stories of his insecurities and
I can be cool. That was fire. That was so fire. Like,
identity issues, she gave back. She would also tell him tales of growing up with divorced parents, growing up and not knowing who you are, struggling with how you looked and not feeling good enough, and that made him feel safe. This would be heartwarming if it wasn't all an act. She knew Harry's issues before she met him. A simple Prince Harry Google search and you get all his dirty laundry aired out. That's what makes their dynamic so dangerous. He learned about her from her, while she learned about him from the press. She was going to...
Yeah, it does seem like kind of an unfair advantage. But,
be anything he needed her to be, and because he was so broken and traumatized, it only made him an easier target. Misery loves company is all I'm gonna say, and yes, that includes fake misery. We as humans hate feeling like we are going through something alone, so when someone comes along and shares our struggles, we feel seen and safe with them. Meghan can get Harry to do almost anything she wants with the simple hint of, I don't want to have the same fate as your mommy tease.
okay, that is creepy. Like, the kind of going back to the well on a person's mother's death, that is kind of, yeah. That's low. That's low, woman.
How did Meghan get Harry to leave the royal family? She made him feel like by staying, she was going to suffer the same fate as Princess Diana. This is the part where you take back what you gave them. She then played on his insecurities about not being good enough in the family. This is how I picture her speeches to Harry. Ready? And why can't we move to the US and start our legacy there and also work for the
Because we want to have our cake and eat it too, right?
royal family? Where's the freedom for your choices? Nobody knows how smart you are. They don't want to see your potential because they know you'll be bigger than William. Imagine that.
Like, she's... Again, I could very easily... Okay, this is a quote. Is this actually a quote? Or is this like a fictitious type of satirization?
You in California, bigger than the King of England. You're telling me that wouldn't do it for you? Like, come on.
It does feel like there is kind of traditions of women appealing to men's ambition to get them into trouble.
When someone who's marrying in, who should be a supporting act, is then stealing the limelight or is doing the job better than the person who was born to do this, that upsets people. It shifts the balance.
Prince Harry now more popular than the Queen.
The only way that your charities can succeed and the only way that your reputation can be grown or improved is if you're on the front pages of those newspapers. But the media are the ones who choose who to put on the front page. Every single member of the family, senior members of the family had been, including the Queen. And on the front page of the Telegraph, Meghan.
I went, oh.
I have a hard time believing that. Well, admittedly, like, the Queen, while she was still alive, was perhaps, like, she was solid enough to be almost, like, unremarkable comparatively to whatever the crap these guys were getting into. So maybe they were, quote-unquote, more popular. But I feel like people would have liked the Queen more than they liked her and Harry.
Oh my God.
She was like, but it's not my fault. And I said, I know. And my mum felt the same way.
Uh-huh. That, I believe, was what you would be calling webbing.
A man doesn't...
This thing right here, this is exactly like that other thing where my mom died. You remember that? Those are the same things. Maybe she convinced him that it was the case, but man.
One day start destroying his entire family on the precedent of truth-telling unless he's been poked enough to explode.
Yeah. It's nice when truth-telling seems to correlate to personal advantage.
Had years to expose William, but never did. Everything was fine before Meghan came and...
Sorry, I was just seeing Invictus Games. Is that like a... Obviously there's the poem, but is that some sort of British thing?
He's had years to expose William, but never did. Everything was fine before Meghan came and started putting salt in his wounds and setting him up to break his closest bond. She needed William...
Never actually watched them. Sorry, my brain is just going off. I was saying I never really watched the movie Invictus. It's kind of an interesting idea. I should look up Nelson Mandela one of these times. It's kind of an interesting character. And he's played by Morgan Freeman, who was awesome.
Out because she knew he didn't like her and was powerful enough to influence the family and Harry. So how do you cut out the enemy?
Sorry.
Everything was fine before Meghan came and started putting salt in his wounds and setting him up to break his closest bond. She needed William out because she knew he...
So, I feel like any psychologist would tell you the notion of a person trying to get you away from your family and from the people you care about is a red flag of monumental proportions. Wow, first try. It's just not a good sign at all.
He didn't like her and was powerful enough to influence the family and Harry. So how do you cut out the enemy? You don't. You have your victim do the dirty work for you and make them think it was their choice all along.
I feel like she could do it. Alright, that's that. She's a conniving wench, and he's a poor sod who might be complicit to one degree or another. But, yeah. That's Meghan Markle, folks. All right. What we got here? Psychology of Meghan Markle, a deep dive by Scandalous Media. So you can go check out the rest of that if you like. Good video, I thought. I guess I don't know much of the source information myself, but it seemed like pretty on point. So, anyways, thanks for watching and have a lovely week.